Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving deep into the work of Darius Foroux today, specifically his book, Do It Today, Overcome Procrastination, Improve Productivity, and Achieve More Meaningful Things. I think we've all been there, right? That feeling of wanting to achieve more, but kind of battling that procrastination. And we are all about finding those actionable ways to break free from delays and actually get things done.
Yeah. This deep dive is all about getting to the core of Foroux's ideas. I mean, he covers a wide range of things from the mental approach to work to, practical tools and strategies for productivity. And, we're going to try to synthesize his core philosophies and give you a clear understanding of his do it today approach.
So let's jump right in. That do it today philosophy is more than just a title, right?
Definitely.
Foroux himself calls it a movement, a philosophy, a way of life.
Yeah.
And he even shares how the idea kind of solidified for him through personal experiences. He talks about pushing through a tough bike ride and you finally tackling the preface of his book.
What's powerful about how he frames this is that it's about shifting from thinking about those future goals to actually taking action now. He emphasizes the finite nature of time with this compelling analogy, right? Like, think of yourself as a sculptor shaping your life, and every action you take or don't take today carves that final form. What's effective about this immediacy is that it reduces that feeling of being overwhelmed by those distant aspirations, and it makes you focus on what you can do in this moment.
And in the book, he gets really specific about these important things. And it's not just work stuff. He includes reading, exercising, investing, connecting with loved ones, even laughing, and enjoying life. So it's a holistic view.
Absolutely. And the way he structures the book reflects this. He breaks it down into 3 core areas. First, understanding and overcoming procrastination. Then there's implementing those strategies for optimal productivity. And finally, building that consistency for achieving those bigger outcomes.
So let's dive into that first part, the mindset shift for overcoming procrastination. Foroux really stresses that this is an internal struggle. It's not about blaming external distractions,
Right.
like a noisy office or technology, right?
That's a really critical insight. He uses Stephen Pressfield's concept of resistance, which is basically that inner enemy that whispers excuses and keeps you from doing the work that truly matters.
And Foroux argues that preparing to face this resistance requires building both mental and physical resilience. And he shares his own daily habits like journaling, reading, setting priorities, being selective about information, and human connection.
What's interesting about those habits is how proactive they are. It's not just reacting to procrastination, it's building a foundation that makes it easier to confront those urges. His emphasis on breaking down large tasks into smaller, manageable steps, focusing on those small but important tasks, makes things less overwhelming.
Definitely. Now, for boosting productivity, Foroux introduces some really interesting strategies for focusing. He highlights this idea of elimination, and this isn't just about a tidy workspace.
No, it goes much deeper. He talks about consciously filtering what you allow into your life, ideas, projects, commitments, even physical possessions, to simplify and amplify your focus. His personal example of his YouTube consumption really stands out. He realized that fragmented attention was actually costing him time and energy that he could have been putting towards his writing.
It's really relatable. Then he talks about the link between recalling past successes and our focus, specifically mentioning serotonin production. Can you talk about that?
Sure. It's fascinating how the neurochemistry works. He references neuroscientist Alex Korb, who explains that recalling positive experiences can trigger serotonin release in areas of the brain associated with focus. So it's basically a mental exercise, remembering past wins, that can actually impact your ability to concentrate.
Wow, that's cool, leveraging your memories.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to actually overcoming procrastination, Foroux brings in some research-backed strategies. He points out the short-term pleasure but long-term pain of procrastination, like increased stress and poor work.
Right. And he refers to a study by Tyson Baumeister to back this up.
Right.
It shows procrastination often stems from a struggle with self-regulation, where we choose immediate gratification over future benefits. And that's where his point about willpower comes in. Willpower doesn't work. Systems do. Instead of relying solely on willpower, we should build systems around us.
Exactly. And he gives us a set of research-backed strategies: setting self-imposed deadlines, establishing accountability, working in intervals, prioritizing exercise and a healthy diet, eliminating distractions, and cultivating internal motivation.
He really emphasizes understanding your why, like your underlying reasons for doing something. When you connect even mundane tasks to a larger purpose, it fuels your internal drive.
Okay, so we've covered the mindset of overcoming procrastination and strategies for better focus. Now Fora moves into improving personal effectiveness, and he makes a key distinction between simply being busy and getting the right things done.
Right.
What do you think about that?
That's a huge difference. Productivity is often about volume, but effectiveness is about focusing on the tasks that drive results. It's about impact, not just activity. To help align our efforts, he shares Peter Drucker's exercise for knowledge workers, which he's adapted.
Okay, let's break that down. The first step is know thy time, tracking your time for at least 2 weeks, ideally a month, to see where your hours are going.
This step is often eye-opening because our perception of how we spend time can be so off. The activity log gives you a concrete, objective record.
Next is identify non-productive work. You review the time log and find those recurring activities that don't yield results, the time wasters.
Right.
The final step is eliminate the time wasters,
Right.
cutting out the non-essentials. It sounds simple, but it takes commitment.
It does.
Foroux also lists unproductive habits he's learned to minimize or eliminate, like excessive worrying, stubbornness, not writing things down, being harsh on yourself, and neglecting personal education.
It's interesting because these are things we all struggle with. His point, your life stops when learning stops, really highlights the importance of growth.
Right.
He also talks about the power we have to create our own productivity rules and systems.
Taking an active role. Now, about the power of rituals. Foroux describes a 30-minute evening ritual that's so helpful. Can you walk us through it?
Sure. It helps transition from work and sets you up for the next day. It has 3 phases. The first 10 minutes are for closing the day, journaling about accomplishments, learnings, and memorable moments. Foroux credits Jim Rohn with this idea of daily reflection.
It's a great way to end the day intentionally. What's next?
From minute 10 to 20, it's about reviewing tomorrow's calendar, looking at your schedule for the next day. This reduces morning stress and anxiety by giving you a roadmap for the day.
That makes a lot of sense. What's the last part?
The last 10 minutes, from 20 to 30, are for preparing. Lay out your clothes, gather materials, anything to minimize decision fatigue in the morning. And then it's about visualization, drawing on the work of Charles Duhigg. He highlights the power of mentally rehearsing your upcoming day to enhance focus and avoid hitting snooze.
That whole ritual sounds like a game changer. Another point Foroux discusses is disconnecting from the internet. This is so relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. He explains how our constant connection leads to fragmented attention and wasted time, echoing Seneca's wisdom. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. He also reminds us of the addictive nature of online content, driven by dopamine release.
He's not saying to do a total digital detox. He gets that it's not always practical. Instead, he's saying that deliberate disconnection should be a core part of your productivity system. He talks about the benefits he's seen, increased accomplishment, reduced distractions, and more time for meaningful activities.
Yeah, and I love his perspective about looking back years from now. We probably won't regret not spending more time online. It's a powerful reminder to reevaluate our priorities.
Now let's talk about what Foroux calls the single biggest reason most people procrastinate in life. And it goes beyond time management.
It does.
What is it?
From his personal experience, he realized the main reason for procrastination is often a lack of passion or engagement with the work itself. When you're doing something meaningful and enjoyable, the resistance to procrastinate decreases.
He connects this to finding the sweet spot where your passions and skills intersect. If you have that internal motivation, it's a powerful thing.
Absolutely. And he even suggests that while productivity tips can be helpful, they can't replace genuine engagement with your work. Procrastination itself can be a sign that you're not on the right path.
He also shares this ancient habit for maximizing focus, using a mantra. I found this fascinating.
Foroux admits he was skeptical at first, but he focuses on what works. He shares his personal mantra, "Let's go," and how he uses it to energize himself, especially when feeling afraid or powerless.
So it's like a mental switch, shifting your mindset toward action and creating a worry-free zone by focusing on the next step.
Exactly. It's a tool for managing your internal state and directing energy productively.
This connects well with his idea of managing attention, not time. He quotes Socrates and Seneca on the persistent nature of distractions throughout history.
Right. He highlights that time is constant. We can't control it. The only thing we control is our attention, and the quality of our focus determines the quality of our life experience.
He also addresses the negative impact of smartphones and perfectionism on productivity. Let's start with smartphone. What do you think?
Well, the study he cites about the mere presence of a smartphone lowering cognitive capacity is kind of scary. He shares his strategies: turning off most notifications, scheduling specific times for checking, and resisting the urge to respond immediately. It's all about reclaiming your attention.
Then there's perfectionism, which he calls procrastination with a mask.
Yeah, that's spot on. The fear of not being perfect can stop us from starting or lead to unrealistic standards. He also introduces learned resourcefulness, the ability to adapt and overcome challenges, as a key factor.
Moving on to consistent improvement. Foroux is a big advocate for reading 100 books a year. He shares tips like having a reading list, the always be reading mindset, scheduling time, using physical books, taking notes, and focusing on application.
Applying the knowledge, not just consuming it, that's crucial. It's not about the number of books, it's about the insights.
He also argues for regular vacations, suggesting time off can improve work and well-being.
He mentions research by Leonard Mlodinow, which shows downtime allows the brain's default network to process information, reducing stress and boosting creativity and productivity. He emphasizes restful, low-stress vacations.
And then there's the challenge of eliminating mindless browsing. Those digital rabbit holes can be so consuming.
They can. He explains that cycle. Interruptions, context switching, dopamine release, leading to busyness but low productivity. He offers strategies. Turn off notifications, say no to non-essentials, take breaks, eliminate distractions, declutter, focus on one thing, limit information, create routines, don't multitask, and prioritize those essential habits like exercise and laughter.
He also recommends time blocking.
Yes, it's a simple technique where you use your calendar to schedule time for your top priorities. He brings up Cal Newport's views on detailed scheduling for deep work. Time blocking not only helps you get things done, but also shows how you're actually using your time.
Now, in the Achieving More section, Foroux focuses on consistency and a long-term perspective. He mentions improving by 0.1% daily.
Yes, consistent daily progress is key for achieving those long-term goals. He connects this to Stoicism, emphasizing focusing on what we control, our actions, attitude, judgments, and determination.
And he uses Warren Buffett's wealth as an example of compounding, showing how small, consistent efforts over time yield huge results. This applies not just to finances, but also skills, health, and relationships.
Right.
He stresses patience and a long-term view, focusing on one thing at a time.
He makes a great point about leaving the office on time and not taking work home. It's crucial for a fulfilling career. He challenges that culture of equating long hours with hard work. It's about results.
Yeah.
He even quotes Marcus Aurelius, suggesting that happiness comes from within.
He also talks about knowing your direction, not destination, acknowledging life's uncertainties.
He emphasizes having a sense of direction rather than a rigid plan as things change. He quotes J. Abraham on pursuing the right target and recommends focusing on developing universally valuable skills.
And then there's the power of belief and creativity.
He presents belief as a tool, not just hope, referencing William James. He shares his experience of overcoming fear by choosing to believe in himself. For creativity, he advocates for an abundance mindset, focusing on creation rather than competition.
Okay. He draws on ideas from Wallace D. Wattles.
Finally, he discusses continuous learning and self-measurement.
Right. He emphasizes a beginner's mindset, always learning, even when you're an expert. He quotes Muhammad Ali about the power of repetition. For self-measurement, he suggests focusing on your energy, work, and relationships.
Wow, what a deep dive into Darius Foroux's philosophy. Taking control of your time and attention through consistent effort and focus on meaningful actions is key for a more productive and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. And the Do It Today philosophy is a call to action, encouraging us to make changes right now.
So, what's one small action you can take today to move toward your goals? Take some time tomorrow evening to reflect on your progress. We encourage you to explore Foroux's work and create your own productivity systems. Thanks for joining us.